States, chefs have been trying to discover the recipe for France's most famous steak sauce. Today we meet Eileen and Pauline Gaudiot, the family behind this secret sauce.
We've heard so many stupid things about what's in the sauce that I'm not afraid. The only person who had the recipe was my mother and his brother and his sister, and they kept it secret.
Also coming up, Alex Inus tells us why he thinks we should forget homemade sourdough and bake white bread instead. And later we make my new favorite snack, Mexican sweet corn cake. But first we hear from Lokalani Alabanza about her southern-inspired ice cream flavors. Lokalani, welcome to Mill Street.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You've had a really interesting background. New England Culinary Institute, I know that well, in Vermont. Worked in LA, pastry chef, worked with Nancy Silverton, opened a hand pie company, and then at a creamery in Nashville. You love ice cream. You've created, you say, 300 flavors in the past 4 years. Let's start with the ice cream itself. Do you have some strong feelings about a base for ice cream that makes the best ice cream, or do you think all ice creams are created equal?
No one's ever asked me that, so this is really great. They're not created equal because you have American Hardstyle, which has no eggs, you have custard, which has a percentage of egg yolk, and you have gelato, and you have ice cream base. So I took the ice cream base route, which is just a standard milk, cream, egg yolk, sugar mixture. And that was sort of the base that I had learned at Campanile and at Chris Restaurant. And so I just took that and morphed it into what I thought worked out. But I had to learn a lot about how sugar and fat play while they're frozen. So that's been, I think, the hardest part about it, is figuring out the ratio.
So I have to ask at the outset, you've married two things that normally don't go together, right? Ice cream and history, in this case, African American history. How did you decide to put those two things together, and why did that make sense to you?
So my journey with ice cream has been very interesting because I didn't grow up eating a lot of it. When I did have it, it was Neapolitan flavor. And then all of a sudden, I found the Jemima Code, which is by Tony Tipton Martin. It's a beautiful book about 200 years of African American cookbooks. And I heard about it on my drive from Las Vegas to Nashville. And it blew my mind that I didn't know about these books in culinary school or actually at any time in my culinary career. So the more I dug into Southern food and the culture and I grew up in the Black culture, it just made more sense to me to incorporate these flavors.
So now you have the recipes, African American recipes going way back. How do you take those recipes and apply them to ice cream and actually design those flavors?
It starts by finding something or just being inspired by something. And then I think, how do we take this and make it a flavor that will spark some sort of nostalgic moment for someone? And so sweet potato pie for me was something I grew up eating, and then knowing, okay, you can't just dump a potato into ice cream, right? You have to break it down and think, well, if I make the pie filling, I'll bake the pie filling,